Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, I have the brothers of lighting, Devin and Derek Wall from Louvers International. Look, they started in 1986 with reliability and good design in mind. What started out as a small business has evolved into a team that works together to build connections between customers and the lighting and plastics industries. In 2010, they launched Louvers LED, made in America. They work together with the best engineers, designers to bring you functionality and peace of mind. They value loyalty and customer satisfaction and never stop learning because they know the lighting industry doesn't stop or sleep. I sleep sometimes. Our passion and drive has allowed them to establish a national channel of distribution and OEM customers. They strive to keep their offerings competitive in the LED marketplace, but also encourage quality and promote positive energy in the workplace. And this translates to all stakeholders of the company, from supplier to customer to end user. So we're proud to welcome Devin and Derek to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. But before we do, we're going to talk a little bit, Greg, about the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors convention coming up September 13th, Dallas Market Center. What do you got, brother?
That's right. Well, we got a lot of fun coming up because it's finally time to get back together in person. So that's what we're excited about. The convention's going to be hot. We're working through the itinerary right now, but I promise you it's something you're not going to want to miss. So if you're not a NAILD member, become one and get to the convention. If you're a NAILD member, you're expected to be there. We need you.
Oh, the itinerary is super hot. We're coming up with topics that are totally for lighting distributors. That's right. It's not going to be anything hot pie in the sky. We're talking boots on the ground kind of stuff. And folks, if you're a member of NAILD, one of the number one better, I don't know if it's the number one, but one of the best ones is Ellis Evolve. And I know Louvers was gracious enough to do a section in Ellis Evolve on lenses. That's right, because lenses are a great thing for lighting distributors to have in the quiver. Great arrow in the quiver. Hey, you need to change those lenses when you're doing that lighting retrofit or just selling people lenses. Lenses are awesome, man. So, but for right now, what's up, Derek and Devin? Are we going to make this thing happen today or what?
Let's do it, boys.
Hey, so yeah, and I came up with a great tagline the other week. Don't get caught with your lens down. And, that's what we're here to help you is, make work fun and give something that distributors can go into their customers and go and attack and teach them the right way. Our philosophy is always providing the path of least resistance. We're comfortable to do business with, and, that's what we're trying to outreach to everybody else and, just make work fun. And that's what it is. Where everybody's here grinding it out 8 to 5 in whatever time zone you're in, or even longer if you're on the executive side of things. But, we live, sleep, and breathe. It's not work. It's fun. That's what we do.
And I can tell you from our, sorry, Derek, but from our visit too, Mike and I, when we were there, you guys have fun there, man. Look at
I don't remember that.
You guys are wild men.
I don't remember anything about that visit.
You've got it going on.
Yeah, we do pride ourselves and build our company culture on like-minded individuals. We adapt to our diverse customer base. We do OEM lens fabrication. That's always been a good portion of our business, but replacement lenses through distributors. If you guys are NAILD members out there, I would recommend watching the lens module and enabling your salespeople to go out there with just, general basic knowledge. And we're the lens experts, but we want you to be a little rehearsed just so you're familiar with, kind of what you're speaking about. It's a good tool. Join NAILD.
Before we get into what we wanted to have the conversation about, which is kind of American manufacturing, accreditation agencies, and this sort of stuff, and kind of getting into the weeds on that, and people will find that interesting that are listeners to this show. But I want to talk, Greg, and are we moving back to kind of an MRO model? Are we moving like? What I see in the marketplace is sort of a burning out of the lighting, the mushroom cloud that was the LED lighting boom is kind of, I think, dissipating a little bit. And there's less and less projects out there. It's more and more complicated things. From your perspective, is it time for lighting distributors to get back to selling replacement components for people's light fixtures, or just moving towards that more?
You're asking me.
Good question. I think
anybody.
It's an important topic to touch on, because with the emergence of and rapid adoption of LED fixtures, is that lens replaceable? So what Devin and I were talking about, and we wanted to, throw it out there, get your guys' input. What would you think if on a spec sheet, front and center or low corner, just to have a little checklist and just like a caveat, emptor, buyer beware, and just have like 5 little check marks. Yes, no. Make it very simple. Is this fixture field serviceable? Is the driver, can you swap out the driver? Are replacement lenses readily available? Like generally speaking, is there stock somewhere in the US? And maybe country of origin. What do you guys think
I
about
think
that?
that's an amazing idea. Like, if any accreditation industry were going to do a favor downstream for an end use customer, it would be that. Like, forget about all the other stuff, lumens per watt. Nobody cares if something's 121.5 lumens per watt or 119.6 or whatever the hell it is. They look at the light, it's enough light. I mean, people get mad at me because I kind of dumb it down or whatever. But at the end of the day, the end use customer, I had an electrician today. While I was late for this recording, this electrician was screaming at me at the phone because he's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with these LED light fixtures? They're all burned out in this pool. They're 347 volt. I don't know if the driver's out. 2 of the lenses are broken. I got to replace the whole fixture. And they're only 6 years old, or I can't remember what he was saying. That's why I was late, because this guy just wanted to beef about that. And he's like, I'm coming across this stuff all the time in the field. And
wait until you get the quote for the scaffolding to like go up and check the fixture.
Yeah.
Empty the pool, everything that goes into it. Good luck.
And like this guy, now it's like they don't even know what to do. And because it's this weird corrosion-proof fixture, for pools with the so the chlorine doesn't rust the whole thing out. And so this thing's 4 or 5 years old or something. They're talking about $1,700 a light fixture, and they got 9 of them or whatever in there. And it's a condo pool. This condo doesn't have 20 grand to drop.
I'm adding a checkbox. Is scaffolding, would you recommend this fixture for an application that requires scaffolding to go back and serviced?
Yeah.
Right.
No. In all these boxes, it's not like, it's okay if it's not serviceable, just so they're aware. Just so that end user, that facility manager, just knows that down the line, they're going to have to replace the whole fixture.
Just knowing that up front.
5.
Yes,
Exactly.
just knowing that. Don't mess around. You just need a new fixture when this is over. Yeah, I agree with that.
It might not match.
Like your example, Mike, the pool, 5 years. That's a pretty good time for an LED fixture. Back then, 5 years ago, everything's starting to get better. We kind of petered out this one level, but I mean, it's kind of expected in some applications that it's like a maintenance cost, and the fixture lasted longer than the fluorescent. You didn't go screwing in a new metal halide lamp, or some guy, Ocean's 11 over there on the ceiling rafters to get down there. So that's what Derek and I are thinking about feedback that people don't realize that needs to be brought to people's attention is application specific ideas and just things for these guys to know down the line. Is it a flat panel throwaway fixture? If one piece gets broken, there's no replacement lens for that. So recycle it and get the new one over. I mean, there's some things that are expected, but you just looking out for your customer, talking about this information is just going to win you distributors and sales guys more credit along the way, because you're showing them potential problems that you've experienced and know that's out there, and that other people aren't going to tell you it's not going to happen to their fixture, because every fixture does fail unless there's 6 battery backups and extra drivers in the fixture. So I mean, there's ways around it. Just costs more money to get done. But I think it's great.
Yeah, I think from your standpoint, you guys can and should do that now. But how do we get the industry on board? How do we get every manufacturer saying, here are the boxes that you need to state on your package or on your spec sheet, so that the distributor knows, the end user knows, everybody's on the same page? How do we do that? Do we do that? Can we do that?
We're going to start doing it.
Good. Start there.
Yeah.
Start at Louvers.
Well, I think if I can, because this is more of a conversation like we had when we visited, where it's just four lighting guys talking, two of us in the trenches, two of them on the manufacturing side, and I think the accreditation agencies are spending a lot of time in the sustainability and diversity worlds and this kind of stuff. They're spending a lot of their human resources talking about climate change. And at the end of the day, I'm not against any of those things. I don't think we should say, no, none of that. But at the end of the day, like if you can't change the lens in the light fixture, like climate change is not the issue when the light fixture is burned out above the pool. Like, you know what I'm saying? That diversity, equity, and inclusion are not the issue when the light fixture is burned out above the pool and you can't change the lens and you can't find a driver. Like these are real practical lighting industry problems that are not being addressed by accreditation agencies. And that is who should be addressing these things is DLC, UL, CSA. These guys should be saying, you know what? You can't get a UL certification unless you don't have to have it. It doesn't have to be replaceable, but everybody has to know in the channel that they're buying a fixture that's a throwaway light fixture. I think that's super important to have on the accreditation side. You guys are manufacturers. Am I wrong about that?
I think we're onto something. Sorry.
Case in point with your example you brought in earlier, Mike, is who's getting the phone call when something of this went bad? The distributor. So you guys and the person that sold it is the one getting the phone calls, not the accreditation agencies. It's the distributors are the ones dealing with it, 100% of the times because they know who they paid the bill to get the light fixtures.
Amen, brother. And you know what? It's at the end of the day, Greg, it's not Louvers light fixture. It's not, TCP, Satco, Keystone, or all these great companies that are vendors of nailed. It's Greg Eric's fixture at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like you take the heat for that thing if it burns out. I'm in the same boat. And yeah, we rely on our partners to back us up, but the customer is not upset with the manufacturer. They're upset with the distributor.
Absolutely.
I mean, just regular daily activity and stuff we see here. Just for an instance, last week, customer of mine in Louisiana sent me a picture of a vapor tight lens. I said I'd need like some dimensions or model number. He sent me the model number. I recognize the factory. I know the factory in China. No, they don't even know where they bought them from. This customer is just helping out, an electrician they know. And of course, that company does not have any replacement lenses here. It's an injection molded part. I can't custom mold it. So they're going to pay $600 for air shipping on 25 lenses that are like, retail for like probably $35-$40.
Crazy.
I mean, that's a cost you don't think of when you make a purchase. That's what, we need to, that's where this whole thought process comes from and it's a good selling feature. Even if like a guy knows it was actually going in like with monkey cages. So if that guy saw on the checkbox that replacement lenses weren't necessarily available for that fixture, he would have probably looked for a different fixture.
You know what the dude did? He went to Amazon or somewhere like that, bought them. Company didn't want to do them. These online, strictly online guys that don't have any brick and mortar, a nailed qualified vendor type of scenario. They just hang up and walk away and not service them. That's why Derek's guy in Louisiana just said he knows we can help us out, and obviously we did. But there's plenty other lenses that we stock on other fixtures that are made here in the USA. We've got a ton of them back there in the warehouse.
So on kind of going back to the checking the boxes, whether it's on the package or the spec sheet, is there? Maybe I should know this, but are there requirements that you need to put on a spec sheet, a lighting spec sheet, or a lighting package? I know they used to have the Energy Star or the whatever that label was, where you had to have all this stuff read out. But what are the requirements, and who governs that?
Well, you definitely need the electrical ratings. I mean, there's UL requirements for a fixture label, so you need wattage, voltage, amperage. A couple little warnings, like that it can cause fire, install, properly. We have a bunch of fixtures that are listed in the Canadian market as well, so we need those in French as well. You speak French, Mikey?
Mon français est crap.
Muy bien.
Parlez-vous français? Yeah. Oui,
No.
oui.
Je m'appelle Michael.
Well, no, Greg, the only people that are really demanding things out of the spec sheet is the accreditation agency that gives blessings on performance of fixtures. And now they've even dove into it deeper, saying they need to know how every fixture works with it on the spec sheet. So a lot of work for us manufacturers, to get our graphic designer to dedicate time to soak up from that, to get things on there when it could just be a basic on-off. I mean, half the stuff we throw in is all on off. It's not even set to 50. The people just don't want it or don't care. It's in a aisle way. Everybody likes to keep things simplistic. So I don't know why it got, everything needs to know about everything. Other guys, I got a customer in Michigan asking me, hey, can you throw this other type of sensor on there? We don't typically buy a lot of them. So I'm waiting for my OEM person to get back to me to get them the sensor, but I'm going to put in what they want because I'm matching the other sensors in the job. So, it's like that's something that's not coordinated on the spec sheet, but I'm pulling it on there because I can buy it. It's approved in my UL file to get on there. So a lot of things, the spec sheet, I kind of like that. It's kind of now everybody knows what fixtures, and literally it's the distributors are the ones that should be picking out what product that's going to be going into the job, because they know they're going to get good service from these guys or those guys, and they're never going to hear back from the other guys. So you guys know what to use and what to specify when a customer does give you your own leeway on to choose something going into a job.
So here, I want to talk about denial. And I like the word denial because I often think we find ourselves in denial. As an industry, as a society, as an individual, you're in denial about the facts that are in front of you. You don't want to face the facts. So I think, if we take a little trip down in history lane here and we say, let's go back to 2014, okay? Every single person in the lighting industry knew that LEDs would never last forever, okay? Only idiots would believe that, because we knew rated life was always a joke. Everybody knows that rated life. I remember I got an email from a manufacturer saying they had come out with a 50,000 hour T5 lamp, right? HO lamp. My response to them was make one that lasts 25,000 hours first. Okay? So we all knew that these were problems. But the industry and the sales focus and Johnny come lately in the lighting marauders and these types came in making promises that LEDs were never going to burn out. And this was always a lie. And when the warranties went from 5 years to 10 years, right? That was always ridiculous, the 10-year warranty. And so then what happened was you started to see people, the big companies, selling off their lighting divisions. Okay? I'm not going to say any names, but we made these promises. Let's get the hell out of here, because this is never going to work out. And I think the train right now is coming for these burnouts. Now, we're not in denial. I think most lighting distributors are no longer propagating the idea, which I never did, and I never did on this show, are no longer propagating the idea that you're not going to have to repair this, or field repairable, as Derek said. I like that word. Is it? Can you fix it in the field, or does it have to go back to a factory, or is it garbage after? How far away is the consumer? And is there going to be difficulty on the consumer accepting that largely they've been lied to by this industry? And what's that going to be like for us? Derek?
Are you making a push for T-LED ready fixtures, Mike?
I'll tell you this. I think there's a massive debate that we should have as an industry about in reverting back to traditional light bulb shapes, because and having those replaceable light sources with replaceable drivers or some sort of model like that where there's intercompatibility between the manufacturers. So a Keystone can work with a Satco, and a Satco can work with a TCP, and the list goes on. So in a way, yes. But what I'm asking you more is that denial started with the manufacturers, filtered down to the distributors, and then people started realizing it. The result was to sell off the companies at the manufacturer level to get out of lighting, and they did. And now distributors are saying, there's a lot of fixtures out there that I know I'm going to burn out, and they're going to burn out before warranty or after warranty. Doesn't matter. People need light. And has that gotten to the end use customer? So your little box in the corner of the spec sheet, if a customer sees that, is he going to feel like someone's being honest with him? Or is she going to feel like, no, I'm going to buy the one that the guy's telling me is going to last forever? Because I think that there's still an element of that out there. Have we got to the point, Greg, Derek, Devin, whoever wants to grab this one, where consumers are now suspect of LED lights and they don't believe in them anymore?
Let me jump first because I'm out talking to consumers every day. Yeah, I hear it more and more. It used to always be the comment like, "Oh, I'm going to do these lights and I'll be retired before they're out." Is what a lot of people that I dealt with were saying. And now it's like, yeah, we did some LEDs and we had some issues with, and there has been some skepticism on whether they should do it because of the issues they had in the past. And then other people understand, just totally seem to get it now. It's an electronic. It's going to burn out. We have to replace it. So I think from the consumer side, I've seen it become more realistic.
I think it's a marketable feature, though, if we promote or have a way to address the issue up front. Where is there even a plan on what to do when there might be a electrical issue with a chipboard or a driver? If you lay that out up front and you're up against somebody else, I mean, that's a pretty marketable feature. I think the industry is just slowly learning, slowly in denial, perhaps, Mike. That's a good operative word right there. But also at the same time, LEDs have lowered the stress on the grid. There's definitely value. There's what we can do with lighting in the digital era, all these controls and that, which previously, you couldn't adopt that technology. There's certain, you can't deny the fact that LEDs have largely benefited all end users at a certain degree.
I think I agree with you in that the societal benefits of energy efficiency outweigh the problems we pretended we weren't going to have at the beginning. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Because there is the
Agree.
flicker issue. There is the flicker issue. There is the color temperature issue. There is the purple street lights. There's real problems, but I agree with you that, again, the overall benefits of energy efficiency outweigh the problems that we pretended we weren't going to have in the beginning. But most people on the inside probably had a gut feeling that this wasn't going to go right. Let's change gears. Opportunity exists where responsibility has been abdicated. And I feel like the accreditation agencies, one, the DLC. So for my point with the DLC, and I've been critical of them, there's good people over there. Look, I think they're, it's a good idea. The people that run it are great people, nothing personal. But I think they've abdicated the responsibility, and in a way, customers have been deceived by DLC rating, because I think, and we were talking to Randy Reed about this as well at Edison Report, people think DLC means quality. And they actually think the QPL is quality products list. It's actually qualified products list, as you guys know, of course. And so the DLC has become a quality label, but they aren't that. And UL is more of the safety label, and DLC is the energy performance label. But there is no quality label in lighting. Is there?
Maybe
Devin?
National Lighting Bureau with Randy. I mean, because what Randy Reed set up with the National Lighting Bureau, they actually, if you're part of his system, they go in and talk to customers that have warranted issues and vet you out that way to say, hey, these guys are stand up. They're going to get back with you. And going back to, when we apply for DLC, they ask for our 5-year warranty statement, which print from online and send it in. But there's no follow through step with that, and not to go. And for example, I know someone that they had about 6 months left on fixtures from a Chinese manufacturer, and then they said, well, you know what? We can't honor our own warranty where we're going to replace the drivers or fixtures. We're actually just going to charge you half of what it cost you in the first place to get you replacement fixtures. A couple hundred. So it's quite sizable problem. But that was their offer. And, they went back to the DLC and they said, well, we're not really in charge of, mandating what they actually do with their warranties. So that, you guys did it. One of the best podcasts you guys did was 12 minutes long, and it was on the 10-year warranties, because everything is, I mean, that is by far probably the best one that got everybody laughing to listen to. You guys did such a great job. That was what, the number 50s or, one of the early ons. And that just proves a point there. It's, some things mean more than performance. How much performance can we push out of the fixture? We're doing certain things that, suck up a lot more light because I want a polycarbonate lens on the fixture, and acrylic lets more light out. But I take about a 15 lumen per watt hit on having a more durable material. I don't get any favor for that. So it's something in my design that I go. But I tell you what, when I took that fixture, I was at the Detroit IES show, so something positive, getting back there in the open. I can't wait to be at the Nailed and Arclight Summit in September, because there are over 600 people there. It was back before pre-pandemic. Everybody was super happy to see it. So a lot of good positive things coming out there right now, and kind of getting over this coronavirus hump and COVID, and just being able to see people out there walking up, having fun, engaging with customers, new people I haven't met before. It was a really good time just to be back out there and out in the show world. So I think things are coming around, and people need to start coming around to being real.
5 years is nothing. Like, you think about, like, what I go back to Derek's point, which was such a great point, which is this idea of being upfront with the customer. For a light fixture, if you go to the accountant's going to amortize that lighting system for 25 years. So if you purchase it as a capital expense, now I don't know if they can accelerate that or whatever, but they're depreciating. They're expecting a 25 to 40 year life out of that lighting system. 5-year warranty means nothing if you can't replace the components after. And so this idea that you have to send in a 5-year warranty statement in order to get your DLC approval, that's not enough. That, like, one of those, it's got to be either UL or DLC. NLB is doing a great job. Randy's program with the warrant, I don't know what it's called, but I know what it is. It's about you're going to honor your warranty program. That's basically what it is, right? You're able to honor your warranty program. Trust and warranty. Like, that's a great idea. But and maybe it's the best place for your idea, Derek, is with Randy and the NLB. But 5 years is not a long time for a light fixture. That's not a long time. Like, a light fixture should last 25 years.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
5 years does go by quick.
Yeah, it's not a long time. Like, if you call, so right now we're calling customers and we're trying to drum up business and the thing. You call a customer that did a lighting retrofit 10 years ago, they think it's 3 years ago when you talk to them. They don't think it's 10 years ago. We just did the lighting. What are you talking about? Yeah, they're T8 fluorescent. We did it in 2012. Oh, really? I thought they were LED. Like, customers don't think about that. 5 years is not a long time for a light fixture. No, it needs to be fixable, and components need to be replaceable. And whether that's T-LEDs, Derek, or whether it's, I like T-LEDs, but because it automatically allows it to be cross-manufacturer. So there's backups to the backups. But
like, who wouldn't? A good question. Who wouldn't agree with that statement you just made?
Like, the 5 years is not a long time?
No, that fixtures need to be
T-LEDs.
upgradable, replaceable.
That is the definition of sustainable in this world. Like, if you want to talk about energy environmentalism, you want to talk about carbon emissions, okay, I love selling new light fixtures. You guys we all love to sell light fixtures, okay? Don't get me wrong, folks. But if you can't repair a light fixture, if you have to replace it every 5 years, there's nothing, absolutely nothing worse for the environment than that. Having to
That
get,
great job with John Bullock on that episode. What was that,
yeah,
last week came out?
yeah,
Great job.
yeah.
I
And
really
John
like that
Bullock
one.
is 100% right. I mean, like there's, you cannot justify that just on the energy savings. If you have to replace that fixture, you're going to regenerate all those carbon emissions or whatever it is you're tracking again by having to do the work of replacing those fixtures, throwing those fixtures in the garbage, having them incinerated or whatever the hell happens to them at the end of life with, nothing recyclable in them. They're just pieces of plastic. There's nothing energy efficient. There's nothing sustainable about that. Fixtures should last 25 years.
Other than the electrician charging you.
Yeah, it's sustainable for me. I'll sell you like fixtures every 5 years. Like, come on. It depends on what you mean by sustainable. But anyway, talk to us a little bit about the DLC 5.1. I know you guys had a couple beefs with that. Let's go over to Devin first because you're always hot on that topic.
Well, probably me being too busy and not really paying attention. I was most likely the last upgrades that hit to the DLC. If your product met the requirements, just okay, you're on to, 4.2 and 4.5. You made it through. If it doesn't, you just have to get the proper test data to prove that you've made the proper upgrades to hit the new requirements. So, the goalposts keep on getting pushed back further and further. At some point, the lumens per watt can only get better by me stuffing more LEDs into a fixture, which increases my cost and the cost of the end user. Everything goes up. But, and another thing is that I also didn't realize that manufacturers on 5.1, there's the $30 reinstatement fee per fixture. So if you've got 500 fixtures, $30 a pop, that's 15 grand that we've got to dole out and amortize over fixture sales over a wide area. But then I've got TLED fixtures that we're building up and selling that aren't DLCable because they have TLED lamps in there, and that's customer specific. Philips, Keystone, whatever, that's what we're putting in there. So it's kind of goofy. Some things, is it sustainable? Yes. Are they moving the goalposts? It kind of feels like it to us. And there's just a lot more information. I'm the more reports and more time, and we're not big. I mean, me, Derek, we got 5 sales guys. We've got engineers out of sight, but I'm the one doing all the DLC paperwork. I farm it out to the safety companies to do performance testing. But then you also look at this and saying, okay, my fixtures are up to, they're certified as UL 1598. I've got UL 1598C. I've got UL 1598A on some products, which is marine grade listings. So UL, since it's called UL 1598, they're not the only ones that can test for that. Intertech, CSA, all these other companies, TUV, they all test to UL 1598 to the standard. So that's another thing that even though I get a semi-performance testing into a third-party lab accreditation agency like UL or Intertech, these guys should be able to apply for the DLC and have it said, yes, this meets the requirements for DLC. So it's just another level that we as manufacturers have to pay, and it's a pay-to-play type thing because in the customers we do business where they're offering incentives, they need the DLC, to get the actual incentives. Goes true with horticultural fixtures as well, and that's something that's just the nature of the business, what it is now, and it's just more money I've got to pay, and these tests aren't cheap. I pay a certain amount from the third-party labs, and then I have to pay the DLC the amount for them to review the paperwork that I paid these guys to do and get done. So just a lot of checking, and it's just a lot of time on me, and we're small, so that's just a lot of energy soaked up to get these things passed up and approved. I mean, it's the bottom line, it's the end of the day, it's a light fixture. It's better than fluorescent, it's better than incandescent. Did they find all the people that were saying their fixture was 160 lumens per watt when it was only 112? yeah, they found out those people. And again, it goes back to the distributor. You guys are the ones that are dealing with the action. The energy company likes the lower wattage. So they can kind of tell after they put it in, be like, well, these guys, it's not exactly that. Or you're going to get the lumen skimpers that are going to
Nobody
go on and the
cares.
double dippers.
Listen, nobody cares. Like at the end of the day, this is what I try to explain to a lot of people that are kind of dorking out on lighting. I remember this one guy came in and I was telling him about, this is in the days of MR16. Okay. He comes in and he says to me, well, if your customer wants axial filament in the MR16, nobody cares about axial filament. When you put up the fixtures in the vapor tight fixtures in the change room, nobody's whipping out a lux meter. Nobody. They look at it, they say it's good. Let's go. It's fine. Let's move on with the next project. There's way too much. I think that downstream, as you go further downstream to the customer, there's less and less sophistication. They're just looking at it and saying, hey, the lights look great. Or they don't look great, or they're the wrong color, or whatever. But one of the podcasts I did, are you familiar with the term asymmetrical warfare, Derek and Devin? You know that term?
No, chime me in.
So asymmetrical warfare is what's happening right now between China, Russia, and the United States. They're not actually shooting at each other, okay? But they're, the CIA's in Hong Kong, and Russia's in the Ukraine fighting, but the United States is sending food or whatever, or money to the Ukraine or whatever. Asymmetrical warfare. You're not actually at war, but you're kind of fighting each other with sanctions and these types of things. I'm going to say something super controversial. I said it on the Light Dead Online video show. I don't know if it'll be posted because it's super controversial. But if you were to take an asymmetrical warfare strategy to say, how can we disable the American lighting industry? Okay, would you start the DLC? Because it seems to me that the DLC is serving the Chinese customers in a way that is punishing to their U.S. manufacturers. Would you agree with that statement? I don't know about the asymmetrical warfare part, but would you agree that that in a way the DLC is almost allowing for the penetration of foreign-made light fixtures into the North American market? Let's go, Devin. Derek, let's go with you, Derek.
Would it be outlandish for me to suggest that perhaps, I don't know how the money moves over there, but the Chinese government might be subsidizing in full or even more for Chinese development of product, including, all the certifications, including and not limited to DLC certifications. But yeah, there is only one QPL. So they have the reins, right? They can make decisions. They can move the field goal post further back. So what they're doing if your product qualifies for 5.1, but it's only 5.0, June 1st, they're going to delist that 5.0 listing. So it's not going to be recognized anymore. So where the utility can come in, and I'm kind of getting away from that unfair Chinese question, but where the utility can come in, they can honor those 5.0 listings. Unfortunately, here in Illinois, when I was investigating this, their rebate structure, it says DLC listed, must be on the QPL. Those 5.0 listings that aren't going to be, that you don't have to have reviewed for $30 per listing by DLC, are not going to be recognized. And I hope this is eye-opening, because how long do some projects take to turn around? You quote them, especially like a school project, they're going to be ripping and rolling, installing July, August. When did you do that paperwork? Who's going to be on the hook when those rebate funds aren't available because you're not on the 5.1?
There's an abdication.
Sorry, I like to be positive, but this is a necessary topic. I feel.
I don't like or dislike to be positive. I find that just having dialogue and conversations about these issues. Look, no one's been more critical of the DLC than me on open air programs. I think they're good people. Many of our vendors at Nailed think that we need something like the DLC. I'm not sure we do as an industry. I think the utilities like the DLC. I'm not sure that the lighting industry likes the DLC. I think that they are serving the utility what they've been asked for. But I think that I think that particular accreditation agency, in my opinion, allows for the removal or the reduction in brand value of manufacturers. And so if you go to an end user, even end user clients will say, is it DLC certified? Like even customers like property managers at condominium boards will know about this. And they don't care if it's Louvers. They don't care if it's Signify. They don't care if it's Keystone, Satco, TCP. Nope, they want to know if it's DLC. And so I don't think the DLC knows this, but their brand is the brand of energy efficiency. And nobody can seem to penetrate that with any other messaging. And so what happens is customers that are quality, that are manufacturing in the United States or different points of interest to people kind of get bulldozed by that DLC label. And it's not difficult to private label something in China, slap a name on it, and bring it over here. That's not hard. I mean, we can all do
one
it.
piece of paper, and if you already have a file, you're ready to roll. Keep it going.
Yeah. And if exactly. And so you've kind of removed the brand power of vendors with this DLC accreditation, which UL and CSA have never been able to accomplish. But the DLC has done it, probably by accident. But everyone knows. Everyone knows that those three. They don't even know what it stands for. They just know that they want their light fixtures or their tubes to be DLC, and they think that they're doing that because that indicates quality, and that's not true. And I think that's where we need to shine light in the industry on, or that's where consumers need to be. Something needs to happen with that. So, any final thoughts, Derek and Devin? Why don't you go first, Devin?
I wouldn't say don't forget about the IES as well. They're the OGs of lighting in the whole lighting world. I mean, the Illuminating Engineering Society has been around way long, 100 years plus. So these are the guys that go there. They all work together and come with this, but at the end of the day, we're North Americans, and from the USA and from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So it's trying to be all inclusive here to most of our general audience. And a lot of good people out there. So, and that's what we want to do is make it a fair playing field, and maybe start creating categories for Made in USA. I got to take the video camera out to the shop and show you guys assembling fixtures. Do we have metal here? No, but I pay a metal factory to make the components for me, which we assemble here and have UL and Intertech quarterly inspections going over everything. So that is what we call a true manufacturing, even though you guys would label us others. That's what we do here and how we go about our business. And we just want everybody to have fun with what they do, but don't make it so hard for us because I got to put black tape on the side of my lenses to make it pass a UGR rating when you've got lighting designers that are the top of the top lighting designers not even using a parking garage distribution fixture in a parking deck. They're using a basic strip fixture. Why? Because it's always worked and it worked. It doesn't have the zonal lumen requirements, but it still looks good at the end of the day. And no one in there driving is looking at the lights besides you or I, or noticing that it's too spotty and some creep's going to come out of the shadows. So, but that's what we're trying to do here. We want everybody to stay positive. I know it's happening. I saw it at the show last week. I can't wait to be down in Dallas at the Nailed ArcLight convention. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. And we want everybody to be comfortable with what we do. Anybody that do business with, and you guys and your customers are comfortable with you because you guys are out there promoting yourselves and informing the customers. And that's what we want to help everybody do.
Derek, bring it home.
Yeah. What makes a spec grade fixture a spec grade fixture? Is it a hefty price tag? Is it the components that go in it? Or is it the company who backs it? Maybe we can talk about that next time. It's a good topic.
It is a good topic. But we've gone 45 minutes.
I like what we've touched on today. We brought up a lot of good points. Always appreciate you guys having us on. Looking forward to seeing you guys maybe in Vegas. You going to Vegas?
Maybe.
I am.
I got to see.
Yep.
We got to see. Personal choices have consequences. So, the brothers Louvers, the Louver brothers, Devin and Derek. Thanks for being guests on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. Of course, this show is brought to you by the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. A little vendor profile, a little talk, nail talk. This is what you get at the convention. This is what we do. ArcLight and Nailed got married. That's right. We're going to hang out in September 13th in Dallas Market Center, Greg. Ellis Evolve. That's right. Check it out. Best member benefit, or one of the top member benefits of Nail. Put your people through it. Little 5-minute hot blast of interesting stuff on the lighting industry. Puts arrows in their quivers so they know what the hell they're talking about out there. And, of course, if you made it all the way to the end, 45 minutes. I know you people. I watch your little statistics on Spotify. You chop it off before the ad comes out, so I try to sneak it in where I can. But, folks, if you made it to the end, Greg and I, Derek and Devin, everybody at Nailed, thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Thank you, guys.